Eat.
Do this.
Hello.
Just the right time. Hello, Perry.
Hi, thank you for being here with us for the benefit of our life.
I think people can tell that we were laughing and having a good time before I clicked the button to start recording this. And that's good because much of freedom has to do with laughter.
Correct.
And when you're laughing because you know things without fear, that's real laughter.
That's a good point.
My work is really all about getting people to drop fear in any shape, way, or form permanently like a lead brick and never pick it up again. That is what is at the core of my work. Spaceships, extraterrestrials, and the beings I work with, that is what they're doing now too. The ships that are out there do not have the time to come and pick people up for a spaceship ride. Smoking pot or just being selfish or doing something, because none of them are going to pick anybody up doing any of that. They don't have time for that nonsense. They're busy endeavoring to save this solar system and this planet. Tyrants that were here have been sent home, not by people on Earth. So now what's left is people have a problem of subconscious programming that misdirects them with fear, and that needs to be undone. Basically, that's it. The planet's being run in a negative way because of subconscious programming that was put in them often before they were born here. They don't even know what's done to them anymore. People on Earth are generally in fear of getting out of their bodies, fear of death, fear of the future, fear of remembering who they really are as an Atma, which is a spherical shaped being made of energy but not nuclear in nature. And it's who they've always been before the lower worlds of time and space were even created. So I ask people who listen to this show, if they understand what I just said, how old are they really? Second, human bodies in this form were never created or evolved on this planet, which makes everybody on Earth extraterrestrial in origin, doesn't it? As far as these things are concerned. And these things are not what's made in the image of the source, prime creator. The spherical being is made in the image of the source that runs a body, and it's spherical, like a sun or a moon or a planet. Those things are created in the image of its creators, us. We still reside in that source from whence we all came. Billions of years ago, long forgetfulness done by tyrants over great vast periods of time. And people end up unconscious on Earth, born in a body, grow up to be an adult with no training whatsoever about this, and run around in life wondering, who am I? How did I get here? Is there life on other planets? You cannot get more unconscious than that. From that low level, the only place to go for people on Earth is up. In awareness, awakening, and recovering what they once knew that they were deliberately made to forget. And what was done to them was not pleasant. And down deep, everybody knows it. That's why they're terrorized to remember who they really are. Because the tyrants that did that to them promised them or programmed to say, we will do it to you again if you ever try to squeal on us. Because they would capture people sneaking around breaking a treaty out of revenge for losing a war and stick them in a body on Earth unconscious. They cannot harm the Atma that you are, but they can create an energy field around it artificially through which people look, so they don't see the universe as they should. It's just misused technology. That's part of it. There's also the fact that beings that run the dimensions in the lower planes below the void have been tyrants. And they've compelled people to reincarnate here over and over again with no awareness, demanding worship and giving nothing in return for that worship. This planet's religions on this planet do not exist on other planets anywhere in the vast billions of galaxies of the multiverse, anywhere. They are unique to this world. People aren't going to find a particular religious belief on these other worlds they can go project their belief on, because the beings on those other worlds, frankly speaking, know vastly more about what divine spirit is in the source on earth. But they know it from direct experience, not faith, not belief. Those things are fine if they lead to experience. If they don't, they trap people. And kings and tyrant kings in the past on this planet used religions to keep people dumbed down and controlled. That doesn't mean that the fine qualities in the religions, loving thy neighbor and all that, isn't good. It is. But the way they're going about it is keeping them ignorant of who they are. People in religions know they have what is called, they call soul, but they don't know what that is or who they are. They think they're a body with this soul tucked away somewhere they can pull out later and look at it. No, they are this sphere unconsciously running one of these. They don't remember it. It's important that they recover that awareness first before they can become free in the universe. The way we are on this planet today, classified this, everybody lying to everybody, government's not getting along. There is not going to ever be a future space program or the future for the people of this planet out in space among the stars faster than the speed of light, the way we are, because the beings that are already out there will not tolerate that. We on Earth do not have the right to take our fear and ignorance, military consciousness, and deception and dishonesty to our own people out among the stars and throw that crap on all of them, because it's only destructive. They know that. They're not going to tolerate it. So you see people on Earth are quarantined in the solar system on this planet until we change enough to be openly asked to join greater organization of worlds. That's just in the physical universe aspect of it. All the other dimensions are involved in this as well. So I want to make that plain and clear for people, because if I don't say it to them, they won't remember it. They won't know to ask the right questions. This divine spirit, people call divine spirit on Earth, without really knowing what it is. They might have faith and belief in it, but they don't really understand it. It is an omnipresent, meaning everywhere, living conscious energy. It is not an individual being like us. We are comprised of that same energy as the source itself, identical in every way. And this omnipresent spirit is a co-creator with each one of us. I'm not talking about the brain or the body, but the being that runs the brain and body is a co-creator with it. We come and originate from that source. This sphere is made and comprised and has structure out of the same energy that the source prime creator, what people call the supreme being, is. But it's not called the supreme being. That sounds like a supreme tyrant that lords its command over all life. This is not how the real source really works at all. We are required to respect the source from whence we come and each other and all life in the grand multidimensional universe. This is what we're required to do in order to gain freedom and access to explore the entire multidimensional universe as the Atma, with a body, on ships, or without them. And both are just fine as long as the being's aware that they're not the body they're running. Never have been, never will be. I get this across because I know that every person on Earth knows how to put their body to sleep at night without effort, generally. They don't even think about it. They just think the body just goes to sleep and they identify with it and go unconscious with it and stuff. The fact is they're leaving their body every night because the Atma that's running this body is running other bodies in other dimensions simultaneously. And people on Earth don't remember this. Growing up in the body on this Earth, you ever taught any of this, or how to get out of your body or go play in the universe? None of this is taught to anybody here. Most gurus on the planet don't teach anybody how to do this. They just get them worshiping the guru. It's just another religion. Or telling you, I've got to help you get free for 10 lifetimes or something like this. And that's been going on forever, and it doesn't work. Not for most people. So religion should lead to direct experience of what the religion is about. I don't mean having an emotional experience of, getting some divine spirit center over you and then, you have better faith. Now that's okay, but it should lead to direct experience. Any master teacher that's ever been on this planet that were the reason religions were formed around them and then controlled by tyrant kings tried to teach people how to know things for themselves, how to remember. The religions and faith and all of that came about after those beings were gone. They didn't exist during the life of those beings. There is much more to discover. And the truth, to find that truth, you have to go off planet. You have to get off this little world, out into the grand multidimensional universe and explore it to know what it is about. Or you cannot be trusted to go to some higher heaven and co-create there. People on earth would just be brought there and wreak havoc there because they're like children that never grew up. They have no experience. It's not possible. The universe doesn't work like that. We're human beings. Human man, human woman, human, the word human did not originate on this planet. Language did not originate on this planet. Human beings in every race that's represented here never originated on this planet. They originated and evolved to this level on many of the world systems out among the stars and were brought here in one scenario or another. Different colonizations under treaty of this world, dating back 65 million years since the dinosaurs were made extinct here. There have been ice ages, polar flips of this planet through that time. And life is destroyed here. It has to be reseeded, recolonized, because Earth is unique. It has polar flips regularly. It did. People I work with not from Earth and other beings people on Earth don't know exist have put a permanent end to polar flips of this planet. So it can take its rightful place and begin to evolve for the first time properly. Other worlds, humans that live in other worlds have evolved there for hundreds of millions of years without the poles flipping. Earth is very unique in this way. Under a treaty that was struck 500,000 years ago at the end of a great war in our part of the galaxy, Earth was, because of various reasons, made kind of like a Switzerland. One, because the poles flip every 100,000 years, or did, like clockwork. And two, because races from the stars collectively, under treaty, had to reseed mammalian and plant life and human beings here many, many times. If you're kind race, you take your people off the planet when the poles flip here. And they know it's coming, so they prepare for it. If you're a tyrant, you bring human slaves here and leave them here to rot. Maybe a few thousand survive on the whole planet. And then they procreate and create the civilization we have today. But they were in savagery. They had no industry. Everything was destroyed. They had to start over. It's a treaty around this planet that is designed off planet between vast numbers of races. And that treaty has been broken by tyrants so many times it's not worth the paper it's written on. So now, these days, beings from the stars are beginning to take an interest in this world. They're beginning to understand that many of their relatives that disappeared long ago in galactic history through covert and diabolical means ended up unconscious with their energy signature masked in bodies on this planet, reincarnating here over and over again like a prison. Subconscious programming. This is how this world and its people came here. They didn't come here because God sent them here, stupider than a brick, and said, now, do everything right in my name. And then they die, and then they're sent back or encouraged to come back here with no memory in another body, told, do everything in my name, but they don't have all their higher thrusters and faculties on as a being to do everything right, so they make more mistakes. The basic law of physics in the physical universe is one of them. Every action creates an equal but opposite reaction. This means that whatever you put out emotionally or with your imagination works with this omnipresent living force people call divine spirit, and it will co-create with us whatever we imagine in it, good or bad. And because people have a split consciousness and thinking good and bad all the time, they produce both effects. That short circuits them and grounds them to this earth. Tyrants know that. You cannot destroy the Atma, the real being, but you can manipulate energies around it to convince it to not know anymore, to not want to know. The Atma itself cannot be harmed because it's not made of matter. It is energy, but is a type of energy that exists between the void of space, between stars and planets. What people on Earth call dark matter does not follow the normal rules of physics. They know that on Earth today as scientists, that there's an energy behind all energy, packed in the void of space that looks black to people. When they look at a time-lapse photography of all those galaxies out there from the Hubble telescope, and it looks black, to the Atma, the being, when it's out of the body or above the world, it looks like white golden light because they can see into higher frequencies. Human eyes cannot. So it appears black. But out there it's not. And scientists on Earth know it's not a void. They know it's packed full of this dark matter. They call it dark because human eyes see it that way. But even scientists on Earth know it's not dark, it's powerful energy. They just don't know what it is or what to do with it. So the people in the CERN Super Collider in Switzerland, the Large Hadron Collider, call it the God particle because it's more appropriately what it is. They don't have a clue what to do with it yet. Beings from other worlds do. There's the difference. And it's a big one. So I want to get that across to people for their benefit. I would say that when people drop fear of the present or the future altogether, whatever faith or religion they're in will become enlivened, enlightened, and bright for them. And any aspects of it that aren't real, that don't help them, will drop away from them. And they will see once again as individual souls or beings into the grand multidimensional universe. And they'll know things again like they're supposed to with certainty, without doubt, fear, speculation, or theory. This is our native state. All negative emotions and imagination are artificially created and implanted in people. Nothing of any negative nature is natural to the Atma. That poster you've got in your cupboard there. Spherical, quite beautiful.
I have two like this.
You see, white core. This is what is made in the image of the source, prime creator, not this. These are genetic entity bodies that run at 98.7 degrees Fahrenheit. A twin-stranded DNA, it's supposed to have a certain enlightened functioning of the brain and genomes on the DNA so that higher faculties of that can work through this out in the world and perceive things and create things. And then this is supposed to go back to the source and deliver what it's found. People on Earth and other worlds have not been doing this. They've not been returning anywhere. So what's underway now in creation is to bring about an event that's possible for beings on Earth and in the lower dimensions to actually advance. That is the first one of two books I've published called The Sayres Agenda. And Perry is, you can see there's a mile-long ship, Galactic Emerald Star Cruiser. This is stationed in the ice rings. It's actually chunks of ice that make up the rings of the planet Saturn in our solar system. Big glass giant. And it's stationed in it. It's not from Earth. It's not from this solar system. And it's permanently allocated there. It is not something that a classified military on Earth can affect or attack or do anything with it. It is there because the beings that work there have a vested interest. What I mean by vested is a personal interest now in helping people on Earth recover without destroying this world. Those Scout class are small ships that come out, and inside that ship, 3 semispheric pods on the bottom, a blue anti-gravitic field that powers them. They use what people on Earth call zero-point energy. It is actually what the people in the CERN Super Collider call the God particle that powers their vehicles. It is not nuclear. It never will be nuclear. It's not atoms and protons and electrons. It is behind all that. And it supports and suspends planets and stars in it. These people have figured out how to utilize that energy through their craft to power them across the stars without using energy or polluting anything. There's no tailpipes on these.
Scott, there are techniques at the end of this book I would like to share with the audience with my experience, because now I go back to read and practice on this. The more you read and practice, you will remember more about your dreams at night. This I can confirm from my experience.
The journey of Mark Sandfield in the Sayers Agenda is a journey of all of us. His cousin Moon Taryn, who is called Janet Carter, is also an example of beings who are forced to be in bodies on this earth that had no memory. And through assistance of beings from other worlds, they recovered who they are. And then they begin to work in harmony with these beings to save this world from annihilation. In the back of this book, it basically is a book about what took place out in the stars and in higher dimensions that changed their consciousness to want to get involved. When they discovered that people on earth do not have free will, the free will they think they have, then it becomes their responsibility to help people recover that much so people on earth can make the right decisions. There are a specific technique for the prologue and all 29 chapters. So there's 30 different techniques in this book, working with Hue, the primordial first sound behind all creation. The Hue, H-U, is the first half of the word human, human, you woman. It didn't get created on earth. There are, I guess, organizations that put this out on earth. That's fine, but they don't patent, own, copyright, possess, and cannot control this energy. It did not originate on earth. It is not something anyone can possess. It is the omnipresent living force running through the entire multidimensional universe. No organization on earth or any world can own or control it. But the individual beings, what people on earth call soul, the Atma, the spherical energy form we really are, can co-create with it. That is our destiny. It is why we exist. That's Mark Sandfield in the high Sierras near a tent, about to be killed by 3 looking like humans in black suits. They are not human, and they are from another world. They're trying to stop him from this ship beaming him aboard to recover who he is. They failed. Mark survives this, and from this point, his life changes forever. So you'll know that about that book. There is another book that's published, which is, I don't know if you have it, but I have it, which is called The Emerald Doorway. And the Emerald Doorway, you can see this same picture of what the solar Atma looks like. It has structure.
Yeah.
The teacher, his name is Ramu, is hovering on anti-gravitic discs which ground the body to it. These people can fly through the air safe on these discs. They've left this stationary ship, his ship, in orbit, well, in the high atmosphere. This prime creator or source has come down from a dimension beyond the void known to certain esoteric groups on Earth. And this is above or beyond the void. And what these beings, this master teacher is carrying a crystal quartz staff with an ankh, sign of eternal life, on top of it. And it's a device. And this little creature here is a silica-based creature, highly evolved, called a Dren. That is Etta. On his world, he's silica-based, not carbon. And they develop the ability, if their tail to glow like crystal opal in sunlight, they can levitate and fly through the air as an organic creature. They are not from this planet. And this is Melina with pale blue skin. She's from the Oceanian race, a mostly water-covered world. This is a human male from another world. And Etta evolved in extinct volcanic chambers, the bottom of the Oceanian ocean, where this woman comes from. These people evolve with the ability to breathe underwater or on land, an actual human species. You could still, the genetics are so similar, these two can actually mate. She swims underwater or on land, he does not. But in galactic history, the genomes that make up the DNA for these people come from the Say race. The Say race that developed these types of bodies billions of years ago out in the galaxies in this form. Human beings in this form are not new. They didn't come from Cro-Magnon or Neanderthal, extinct humanoid species either. There's no proof ever been brought out on Earth to prove that we came from them. We didn't come from monkeys. In fact, we didn't even evolve on Earth in the first place. So if people want to find that missing link, they're going to go half off this world, far out into the galaxies to discover that. And that's possible. So when he's introducing them to this ancient one, source, prime creator, they don't realize, these three at this time, that one of these is hovering above their head right now because it's identical with this on a smaller scale. The Emerald Doorway, book 1 of the Parallel Time Trilogy. On the back is a guy named Sendar, and he's got a stolen crystal, a device, and as you can see, he's holding the earth in his hand because he wants to destroy it. This is 100,000 years ago. He wants to dominate it. And this is a human from another world. The psychology of what made him turn into being a tyrant is revealed in this book. This is the first one of 3. The other 2 are written and will be published when it's time. This is the Parallel Time Trilogy. The Emerald Doorway is book 1. There are over 30 illustrations in this book, highly defined pencil artistry sketches. And I want to show you Atma close up in here. As soon as I get to him, little guy, there he is. And when you see who Atma is, you see his big blue, he has big blue bulbous eyes, a pale green skin, dexterous fingers and toes like a human, but he can walk upright on all fours, run on all fours, and his tail glows like crystal opal in bright sunlight, and he can levitate through the air as an organic species. There's a lot going on in the universe people don't yet know, but all of this life and vast numbers beyond it exist beyond this world. Full disclosure of this to the public on this planet is coming our way, because beings in massive numbers from outside this world are in no uncertain terms encouraging this, not in a destructive way, in an unexpected uplifting manner. So we'll get to that. I've also composed, I'm a composer, but this is a music album that's connected to my books. There are 11 tracks on this album. It's called Stranger on a Lost Island by Scott Limriel. This is the same master teacher carrying his staff. This is the blue-skinned woman getting off a boat. You can see the reflection of the sky in this reality. And he's about to take her. See if I can get this out of the case. It won't be so glaring. Yeah. That's much better. If I can hold it still enough, it'll come into focus with this little camera.
Okay, like this.
But anyway, he's about to take her through this opening into our galaxy. Earth is right up here. And she's about to go on a journey across the universe. So the music is relative to film endeavors, screenplays that are based on the books I've written and things like that. And this CD is also out there. One of 9 planned music composition albums. They're all designed to stimulate in people awakening things they were made to forget, period. Telling you about this doesn't help. Helping people recover the experience of it for themselves is what my work is all about, why I came to this world.
God, I would like to confirm, like the first step that if you can get these 2 books to read, okay, to understand what is Scott's work, and then go on journey and listen to our show like this, your life will change so much. I confirm from my life, happier and easier, when you live your life on this planet Earth.
And again, that's because Perry's had direct experience recovering a lot of what she was made to forget. It makes you wiser, more intelligent, starts turning on brain cells that haven't been working. Basically, we have 100% developed brain, but on Earth, people are told they use only 6 to 10% of it. That's because the Atma that runs the body no longer is aware of how to use more. It's the Atma, the real you, that needs to recover this, not this body that was born on this earth that has none of that information in it, in the brain. Not taught any of this on earth. So it's the Atma that wakes up and delivers or downloads this enlightening information to this body on this planet. That's what enlightenment really is. So we get that across to people. The books are not written for entertainment. They are entertaining. But believe me when I tell you, your journey through them, you'll begin to say, wow, I used to know that. I seem to remember this or that or the other thing. Starts to surface in your awareness. This is the way they're designed. They aren't just books, they're conduits, doorways. The beings on the other side of those doorways are kind and very highly evolved. They are not tyrants. They are not reptilian. They're not grays or tall whites or anything like that. But they are part of a galactic alliance of worlds centered near the core of our galaxy. And their moving in history now is towards a permanently changed destiny for this planet from an Armageddon destructive prophesied one that will never happen now. The more people become aware that they can drop fear and terror of the future, the quicker this planet will be transformed. And the quicker they will be aware of the vast life that's out there for their benefit. So onward and upward with that. Now, I think, Perry, if you would like, we could, by demonstration, take people on a journey out of their body.
Yes, please.
Forever who's listening to the show, Perry will cut off her mic simply because in this way we get better recording quality. All these things are being done through a satellite, and if you'll notice in all these shows, the satellite connections are never interrupted. No, the military-industrial complex and governments on Earth do not fool with it because they've tried. And it's for their benefit, too, that this work is being done, because they only lie to people in a classified system because of fear that they're suffering from. And they're beginning to learn they have to give that up for their own good and that of their families. We're all in this together on this planet, and we're going to see this through collectively. If we were alone in the universe, which we aren't, this world and its people would have blown this place to hell in nuclear war. And they tried on 12 separate occasions during the Cold War with the former Soviet Union. Didn't work. Their launch computers were shut down from space. It's a good thing we're not alone, or we'd all be looking for other bodies right now. And this planet would be radioactive. I don't worry about the future. I don't dwell in the future. I don't have fear or carry fear about the present or the future of this world whatsoever. I tell this to people and they don't even comprehend how that's possible. But I'm a living example that it is. And my part here is to help other people recover that awareness. So, the way we go about this, and for people that have been following this, the first thing to do is get your body in the trance state called sleep that you put it in every night without thought, without effort, which means that every single person on this planet that can put their body to sleep at night is a master at being able to do this without being aware of it. It's a complex process. First thing to do is to generate an image in your imagination of someone you respect and appreciate. You're grateful that they're in your life, person, place, or thing, but it has to be genuine. It could be a child's smile, could be a hummingbird, could be a mountain waterfall, whatever makes you just smile inside when you first imagine. And when you do this like this before you go to bed at night, you're going to be taking out of your body every night when you leave it, because you do, constructive, positive, wondrous, childlike view of creation. And thereby you will meet such people in your journeys. If you take fear of the present or the future out into the dream state when you put the body to sleep at night, that is the kind of people you'll meet. In other words, we have to discover and recover the ability to know that the correct utilization of the creative imagination, which comes from the Atma, not the brain or body, the spherical energy you, is meant to only create that which will be of an uplifting benefit to all life, not just life on Earth, life in the entire grand multidimensional creation. And to do that, we have to remember and uncover what that life is. I send out something which are a series of words constructed in a very well-defined order for a purpose. They are constructed to tell or imagine into this omnipresent first sound or word behind creation, this omnipresent dark matter energy that isn't dark behind all life, that we are telepathically linked to, that we move and survive and float and have our being in it. And I'm speaking of that which is not material, not matter, not nuclear, but energy. I send out this statement because it co-creatively sends into this energy, which is a co-creator with us. What people call divine spirit is actually a co-creator with the individual beings, not bodies or brains. This is what I do. Safely show me deliberately hidden truth on a grand multidimensional scale, and the much greater knowing of the expansive love within it. Safely show me deliberately hidden truth on a grand multidimensional scale. Says it all. It's telling this source energy that you want to recover in mastery your awareness of the entire creation. The second half of it means you want to know you want to come into the much greater knowing. Knowing is certainty, not doubt or fear or speculation or theory or debate or anger or negative emotions of any kind. You want to know the loving nature of that creation. You want to be able to respect it and all life that's out there. Because if you don't do that, you will never be free from the trap of this world and not knowing things. There is a requirement for beings that they respect the source in each other and all life in order to be set free. Because then, you see, we can be trusted. The higher faculties and the use of them that comes into play when the Atma completely recovers who it is. I will send out these hue tones, the first half of the word human, because it sends out a parallel vibrational frequency that connects to the actual sound itself of this omnipresent living force throughout creation that runs through all the dimensions and supports everything in it. Remember that we as the Atma are comprised of this same energy from the source, many dimensions above what is known as the void. This is where we all come from originally. And this is where we're all destined to return in order to, let's say, come into the right to co-create with the source, to change the lower dimensions of time and space in such a way that they become mirrors of the upper worlds. And this has never been accomplished in several 100 billion years. What is underway is designed to accomplish that for the first time. And whether people know it or not, they are all part of this now. I begin these tones and raise them in tone quality or pitch to connect with the forms you're running. Most of you don't remember. You have a life on the astral plane, the next major heaven or dimension up from here, where all emotion is utilized to move matter around. And it will connect with that form you're running as an individual spherical being, the one you're running in the causal, mental, and etheric, these different dimensions. just before you get to what is known by certain esoteric groups on Earth as the void, because there doesn't appear to be anything in it but some pale blue light. But across that void are worlds of light and sound made of pure positive energy. There is no cause and effect, no time and space, no stars or moons or planets. Floating land masses in energy fields that are utilized to construct and invent new ways of doing things exist there. And the whole purpose of all of this was to one day find a way to retire what we call the experiment of evil in the lower dimensions and replace it with this new ray of consciousness blended in this omnipresent first sound of Hue that runs through everything, that was brought into creation for the first time about 8.5 Earth years ago. And it only moves in one direction. There is no power, force, being, or technology that can affect or alter this direction. And it's moving through the lower dimensions. And it's stationed on Earth now. So Earth is destined to be changed, but not in the way people expect. Fortunately for all of us who have a body living on this planet at this time. These are words, but as we go through this process, all of you who go on this journey with us will begin to know for yourselves. So this is about you having your own direct awakening experiences with hidden truth, isn't it? This goes way beyond faith or belief into the true state of being, the Atma, or what people on earth call soul, and its purpose for existing. This is what wakes up. I'll begin those tones now. Hue. Hue. This is telepathically done. It raises the vibration of every molecule in your body that's in the trance state called sleep on Earth. Same thing you put in it every night. But you're listening to this guidance, this voice, this presence, this friend to stay focused and alert. And then we're going to go beyond this world out into the universe and explore things as the spherical round Atma you are. The baggage of the body is safely back in the trance state, trance meaning automatic. It is not hypnotic. The body itself and brain can't be hypnotized. It's a genetic entity. The Atma, however, can be. But this isn't about hypnotizing the Atma. It's about keeping it awake and alert instead of its usual pattern of identifying with the physical body and going unconscious with it when you put it to sleep. Masterfully put it to sleep without effort, without knowing how you're doing it. When you're bored somewhere at work or at school, and you're looking out the window daydreaming, understand that there is no motion picture camera in the brain, nor a movie projector screen upon which you can imagine anything. No such mechanism exists in the human brain. It is not designed to do that. That's not its purpose. So if your physical eyes are looking out the window at a parking lot, it sees the light coming to the eyes and sees what's on this earth out that window. Meanwhile, you could be imagining being at the beach or in the mountains or by a waterfall or anything more pleasurable. And something else that is you, not the body or the brain, is what sees that what you call daydreaming. People can do this and imagine being on another world, in another dimension, on a spaceship or anywhere. The Atma can go there as long as it knows what to see. To imagine it first and send that into the omnipresent living force that surrounds us, and it will guide you and take you there and provide the energy necessary to get there. It is a co-creator. Just like you'd imagine being by a waterfall when you're daydreaming, you imagine yourself being above that body right now as a spherical energy being, just like the one Perry showed you on that photograph. And you're looking down on that body in the trance state, sitting there or lying down with the eyes closed, which means it's not seeing any light from outside and the brain is shut off in that respect. But you are hearing my words. You can see yourself hovering above that body near the ceiling. You can, in the next instant, see yourself hovering in outer space above the planet Earth, in what you would normally think of as a black void, and there's the planet Earth with the polar ice caps, the continents and oceans you're familiar seeing with, and the moon with its craters on it, no oxygen atmosphere that doesn't turn on its axis as it revolves around this planet. And you can see the sun off in the distance and billions of stars around you. But as the Atma, the real you don't need to breathe oxygen. You don't feel heat and cold. Nothing can attack you of any negative nature or harm you in any way in this form. It is not made of nuclear material. It is not made of matter. This powerful energy to you between the earth and the moon, and between the stars and galaxies and dimensions, appears to be a white, golden, shining light. Not black. People see that on photographs from time-lapse photography through the Space Hubble telescope. But that's because human eyes can't detect the frequencies of light beyond this. So your brain just interprets it as dark or black. But to the Atma that runs a body out of it up here in space, it appears like a white golden light supporting all of that. And you can clearly see the stars. It is in the background behind it all, between it all. We are telepathic beings connected into that field of force, the first sound behind all creation. And it is a white golden light. So it is a sound and a light. And it derives from or comes from a source, many dimensions above here, far beyond the void, known to certain Buddhist monks and esoteric groups. There are many realities above that void, and they do not work like the lower worlds. This energy comes from there. And so do each one of us. In space, you can see the planet and the moon, and you can see this white golden light between everything. It's like the white golden light in the core of your being, that you're connected to it telepathically. This is not psychic energy involved here. This is telepathy, and that is a rare, or I should say, a unique way of being in communication with the source energy that you are also comprised of. It links you into it and links you to the source from whence you came. This is what sending out the hue that is not native to this planet. What it does when you do it. This is what it's actually doing. The new ray in the hue is simply this golden essence in this white field of omnipresent light that carries with it a new manifestation for creation. That which is designed to retire the old failed experiment of evil, replace it with the Hue Expansion ray within the hue that motivates all beings to only create that which will be of an uplifting benefit to all life and all life in the multiverse, which people on earth under the right conditions are capable of knowing and understanding. This isn't what they're taught, but it's true nevertheless. Yes, you have the ability to float as an orb of light in space above planet Earth. We come here for one purpose: to get outside the atmosphere of Earth, which is saturated with negative emotions, terror, and fear, and death everywhere you look. This is thick in the atmosphere. Any deed of a nasty nature ever done to people with each other, tyrants, animals, plants, the culture, pollution in the air, the water, all that stays behind inside the atmosphere of that Earth in different frequencies, bouncing off the ionosphere, just like radio waves do, that can do this to get around the curvature of the Earth. We are outside, beyond, above all of that in space. Now there's just what you call dark matter, which isn't dark. And this is what we move in and are aware of. There's no negative thoughts or emotions out here. When you look towards the center of things around you, you'll find an Atma hovering there. And you begin to see a body being manifested, made of light, but it looks physical. It's 18 feet tall. And this is Ambassador Turelian from the Sayres human race, one of the oldest races in existence. We get our human genomes originally from them. They immortalized this physical body. I'm going to describe for you. You'll see it. 18 feet tall is very tall. He has long blonde hair, slightly pointed ears, luminous blue eyes, simple gown like looks like a Greek god. He's standing in space in front of this orb that he really is to show you what their bodies looked like before they immortalized them over 1 billion years ago. He has his 2 thumbs up because he's doing something with energy for your benefit. He's simply being encouraging and supportive consistently so that you all can step beyond your fears and recover who you are. I do the same. I am a co-creator with this being and he myself. He is with me as well. You can see me hovering in space. My body looks to be about 36, perfectly healthy. Perry is here, and her body is standing out in front of her orb, who she is, about 36, perfectly healthy. These are energy forms that look physical, that can stand in the void of space. They don't need to breathe. But this is the way we identify each other when we first meet, especially after a long absence of remembering how to do this. Turelian is in the center of this to keep us focused on constructive outcomes for this journey. That is what I'm doing as well. I'm standing by his side. Perry is there. You're going to begin to see 50 other beings begin to appear, men and women of different races from all over the galaxy, members of the Galactic Alliance, with the spherical orb running them, who have been asked to join us on this journey for their benefit, and so that they can further assist us on Earth to remember. They are highly trained. These beings you see here have bodies on their worlds, more than 450 million of them in just 1/4 of our Milky Way galaxy alone, on a number of parallel dimensions. In the physical universe, there are 144 of them. 144 Earths with different things going on than you know of on Earth. Basically in the same place at a different molecular time rate, either upward or down below. These beings are there who have been trained to work with removing what are called secondary implants. These are the misuse of extraterrestrial technology by tyrants. When they capture a being sneaking around corners, often they will kill that body they have captured and force that being into a body on Earth to cover their tracks for the evil deed they've done. It's out of revenge for having lost a war in this galaxy 500,000 years ago. A treaty has been struck and maintained or policed ever since. If it hadn't been, we'd all be dead on Earth right now. Make no mistake about this. We didn't survive the potential of nuclear war because of the decisions of people on Earth. They tried to have it. It's been prevented from outside because we on Earth do not have the right and have never had the right, out of terrible diabolical subconscious misdirection through fear, to annihilate this world, which would affect hundreds of billions of beings in parallel dimensions and other worlds people on Earth don't even know exist. And we're never going to be given that right. A bunch of people running around at each other's throats on Earth that can't even get along are not going to be permitted to travel freely out among the stars the way we are. So these beings are here to help us make a transition so that we can do that. You're going to see a funnel of light appear above us in the void of space. This white golden light turns into a tunnel that's whirling clockwise slowly. It is blue, green, and luminous. It looks like water, but it isn't. And you can see a huge vortex above us that all 50 of these people in a circle around us, Turelian, myself, and Perry, all of you on this journey are in a circle around Turelian, an inner circle. There is a master teacher named Ramu carrying that crystal staff. He's in the Emerald Doorway book, and there is a being called Opelum with pale blue skin from the planet Oceania. That is in a third higher parallel dimension on a world in our physical galaxy. And these are master teachers, kind, and they're going with us on this journey. They also keep what are called fear-driven subconscious programs turned off and back on Earth off with your sleeping body until you return. You're going to see what looks like a pale blue violet sphere of light create a sphere around all of us. So we're this concentric circle of beings, the bodies they're manifesting in front of them, the circle of us, the master teacher Ramu and Opelum, and Turelian in the center. And this whole sphere is moving us as a transporter of a type up into this tunnel. And we move up it through it at tremendous speed, vastly beyond the speed of light. And you can see levels of entire planes of galaxies receding below you, because you can see through this blue-green energy field. It's transparent. Before you know it, we come out into a pale blue atmosphere. And we're thrust upward into it, and this dimensional vortex, this tunnel, fades and vanishes. All of us are now within this blue-violet sphere that's transported us here. And when you look out through it, you can see that we are floating in a vast pale blue light. In every direction, you can't see any form here of any kind. Thus the term the void. It's not really void. There are beings who operate here, but you cannot see them. This pale blue energy is a transformer. This vast arena called the void transforms energy from higher dimensions down into the etheric plane below here, where it splits into a dual current, positive and negative, that was meant to be in harmony with each other, circling around each other like the yin and yang symbol with a golden light around it, so that things could be brought into creation without karma, without cause and effect. Unfortunately, the split currents runs as separated imaginative things in beings in the lower universe and many places and on Earth. So beings naturally send out imagination that's both constructive and which is destructive. And the omnipresent field of force fills both. People need to be aware this is what they're doing, because once they are, they begin to stop doing it. Then you'll feel this blue-violet sphere moving forward at tremendous speed. You can't see anything in any direction but this pale blue light. Far up ahead, you begin to see what looks like a speck of white light. You can hear a sound like the high note of the flute, Hue, moving through this energy field. And in the distance, this white speck of light begins to grow until we approach it and realize it's a white, sandy, luminous beach extending left and right, horizontally in a straight line as far as you can see. As we approach it, you look down and you begin to see your physical form appear. Looks like you about 36, but this is a projection from the white core of your being. And you feel your toes sinking down into this glowing white sand. There's a vibration coming from this sand known as Hue, the first true name, the first true sound behind all creation manifests here in this dimension, physical form for the first time. It is not physical form made of nuclear material. It is physical form that Atmas knowingly run here to communicate with each other, made of a different kind of energy. And you can feel this white glowing light move up your legs, through the top of your head, and as you look up smiling because it is uplifting, cool and warm at the same time. And you look up smiling because you see the white core of your being as a spherical being hovering above your head. And it moves into that white core and brightens it, charges it. When you look to the left and the right, you'll see that each one of us on this journey has a body standing in that sand all along the beach to the left or the right, except Turelian, who is hovering behind us, watching with his thumbs up, encouraging. And as a group, this blue-violet sphere vanishes around us, and we move over the top of this jungle, this forest of jungle trees that are crystalline in nature, growing crystal-like fruit and shapes. They're not like trees in the lower universe, and they are intelligent. We are stopped because a group of birds fly out of these trees and extend across our field of vision, several dozen in two parallel rows, one above the other. And they have long V-shaped split tails. They look kind of like a blue jay, about a foot long. Their feathers are rainbow colored with the colors of the spectrum of light evenly and gradually blended. Very beautiful, with big blue eyes. And two sets, double sets of bird wings above their back, like a hummingbird, or rather like a dragonfly. And they have vocal cords, they have photographic memories. These are higher genetic forms, and if you look closely, you will see an Atma, spherical being, running each one. This is for beings who come to this dimension to learn what it's like to be a bird, but one that can speak to you, that's intelligent with vocal cords, who have photographic memories, a higher genetic form. These birds begin to sing, and what it sounds like is millions of men and women in perfect singing voices, sending out the hue on multiple levels in perfect harmony. It's breathtaking. And then the sound becomes one whole round solid humming tone. This is their greeting, and they fly back to their places in the branches of these trees. As a group, with Turellian, we're still around him in two circles. We move over the top of the jungle, inland, and in the distance you can see what looks like many crystal structures of towers at the base of a long snow-capped mountain range and a trail leading up to it. And below us, we stop because now we see this trail ends at a several hundred feet across white marble floor, in the center of which is a fountain, a white alabaster scalloped-edged fountain sitting on a square pedestal with a round post, and in the center of a cube, a square, is standing a statue of a being. This being is bronzed of skin, about 36, ageless, two gold bracelets on his upper arms, and a little white tunic-type skirt from his waist to just above his bare feet. His hands are at his sides, slightly out to the side, with his palms open, and out of his palms is flowing this white golden light, filling this bowl. It's dropping over the edge in a glistening, luminous white gold sheet and disappearing in the floor, the marble floor below, on its way to the lower worlds. If you look off to the right, you'll see a man standing at the edge of this walkway, this path, stepping onto the white marble floor, and it is the being represented in the statue. This being's name is Satnam. It just means true name in any language. So this is the first personification of physical form that anyone will see from the upper worlds, where form in this way doesn't exist unless you lock it up. And so he is the administrator of this dimension above the void, the realm or the home of the Atma. There are many planes above here. And if you look at the statue, you'll see that standing in the fountain, surrounding this white marble floor, is a botanical paradise in concentric circles, going off hundreds of acres into the distance. Flowers, exotic things 4 or 5 feet tall, 4 feet wide, things you would never see on Earth. Vibrations and scents coming from them, thousands of scents, way beyond what you can detect on Earth. And these birds are moving in and out of the branches of these bushes and trees all over the place. This is done for the pleasure of the beings who live here. Anyone here can take a ride, piloting a bird body, so to speak, a genetic form, to see what it's like to be a bird, to respect other life other than human. This is the purpose of people taking on animal forms here. They don't become the animals, they are an Atma, they run them. And the animals here have vocal cords and are intelligent. I don't know if they're a cow or a sheep or a duck. They're all intelligent here. Beings come here to learn how to respect all life. There's no other way. Because once you do this, you begin to bring that back to Earth. We're going another step up from here on this journey. You're going to find that Turellian will signal all of us to move into this fountain, because the statue has now become a wide shaft of white golden light, filling the bowl of this fountain. The statue is gone. And Satnam points to it and says, "You're welcome to enter it." So we move into it, all of us, quite quickly, and we're shot up at tremendous speed to come out the other end in a beautiful, luminous blue atmosphere, turquoise blue, darker than that, robin's egg blue, I guess is what you'd call it. And when you look down, you see this fountain down below through a vortex in just the dimension right below here, and then it disappears. And you find yourself looking down on 6 mountain peaks in a hexagon, 6 positioned around what looks like another white marble floor on an island. And on the island is this blue lapis lazuli, rectangular 4-foot-high stone with gold lace through it, and a cobalt blue transparent sphere hovering above it, 4 feet wide. You can see this from the Atma, way above the mountain range. And down in the center of that cobalt blue sphere is a radiant star, cobalt blue, gleaming, pulsing. And when you look above, out away from these mountains at the surrounding terrain, you see that we are hovering above a huge landmass that is circular. And around the outer edge of it is a white glistening beach surrounding the circumference. The atmosphere is blue all around this floating island in this energy field. There are no suns, no stars, no moons. This is called the Hue Expansion Academy, and it was brought into creation a little over 8.5 Earth years ago here to administer this change in how the role dimensions are run. People come here, master teachers, to teach others like us, and we come here to co-create with them, to collaborate in bringing into existence this retiring of evil as an experiment, replacing it with this blue energy and the white golden light behind it. If you look into this blue light, you'll see that there is a white golden light just behind it, powering it. This blue energy is all about remembering how to co-create with the source, many planes up from here, where we originated from. You can see your body hovering in space in front of the Atma you are, or soul, spherical being. Looks like you, about 36. I don't care if you're a child or someone 90. You'll appear to be about 36 here. Both the physical form and the sphere behind it are you. And you can breathe in through this form, but what happens when you breathe in, you feel the entire energy move through your entire physical body and go into the white core of your being behind it. And then it breathes out and it passes through that body to communicate telepathically and connect to that energy. This is something you all do co-creatively of true free will here. Because once you cross that void into this terrain, you cannot bring any negative emotion or imagination here with you. That is impossible. The void prevents that. So here you are really who you are, and only childlike wonder, creating that which is of uplifting benefit to all life. This must be experienced and remembered for you to do it back on Earth. When you look down to the west, north, south, east, and west, remember we're hovering high up in this atmosphere that goes on forever in every direction. And you look out the western roadway, you'll see that down at this, to the left on a lower plateau, is a blue glass administration tower. It is smooth-sided and luminous, and you can see through it. And it rises up high, has a flattened dome in it, and then it continues up to a point like a minaret. And inside it, you can see one of these white alabaster fountains. No Satnam statue here, just a shaft of white golden light filling it, pouring over the edge, radiating out into this land, and then dropping through the floor to go to the lower dimensions. And down around this base of this structure is a very large white marble floor out of which it rises. And extending at the circumference of that floor are white roadways. And they go in every direction from this circular floor like spokes of a bicycle tire. And when they reach the base of the mountain, they go through tunnels, through a hollowed out interior, and the tunnels resume on the other side until they come out on the other side of this floating landmass. When you look down the western roadway, you'll see Every now and then there is a turn to the right or the left. The first one on the left goes into an area where there is a clearing, and a tall ivory white silo-like building is there. You a little further to the right and you see a four-sided golden quartz capped pyramid, quite large, in a clearing there. And if you continue down that western roadway, you'll see more turns to the left and the right in clearings with training or teaching facilities. When you look down other roadways all around the circumference of this building, you see there are training facilities and domed buildings all over this floating landmass. Master teachers from the lower dimensions, from the Galactic Alliance, from the Say-Rays, and beings you never heard about before on Earth that exist here, come here now to co-create, helping, assisting with this transformation that's underway. This unexpected transformation in the way the lower dimensions are run. They are not designed to be destroyed again as they have been before. But the administrators of those planes, which have been tyrants, are being fixed, let's put it that way, changed. This is why we can have such journeys as this on YouTube, on the internet, and not have any interference in them. They don't come from Earth. They are not from the lower worlds. The energies where we are supersede and command all below it for their own good. We don't carry negativity or fear here. You are who you really are. And bathing in this blue energy will help you remember that. There is a plane, many planes up from here, and you're going to see a doorway open, a round vortex of golden white light spinning clockwise appear above us in this blue atmosphere. When you look up at the other end, far up at the upper end, you see a much more brilliant blue light surrounding what looks like a radiant white galaxy of stars. In Turellian, you'll see a blue-violet sphere form around all of us again, and it takes us up this tunnel, and in seconds, we are coming out the other end. The tunnel vanishes behind us. We are many dimensions above the Hue Expansion Academy. And you can see us approaching what looks to be like a huge spinning galaxy in a radiant blue atmosphere, floating in this atmosphere. As far as you can see, there's nothing else here. And we're moving into this cluster of what look like spherical beings, white and luminous, that make up this galaxy, until we enter the core in a big vacuum or void area and come to hover above a floating white island in the center of it. Here you see that the beings that comprise this galaxy are actually Atmas like us. This is referred to as the ocean of sound and light, original core home from whence we all descended into the lower worlds. Here is what you realize when you're here. This purified Atma of you is still here because this exists beyond time and space. It can duplicate its spherical nature to run the bodies in the lower planes. You have always been here and still are, but have long since been made to forget that. It is our destiny to return here and co-create with this source new ways of doing things. This is the purpose of the existence of a human or a Hue woman or a human being. That purpose goes well beyond a physical body. You know this because you can hear this vast host of beings communicating with you. This white island emits a voice, and this voice is speaking from the, let's put it this way, all the Atlas that exist in creation, from the highest realm, through Satnam's realm, through the Hue Expansion Academy, through the void, down through the lower planes. All of them collectively make up more than the sum of its parts. And it is that unified, connected, conscious energy that is what we call Prime Creator, the Source. It is not a tyrant, and it never requested or insisted that we worship it, ever. That source will speak to you and tell you your purpose is to respect this source, each other, and all life in the grand multidimensional universe. This is our purpose for existing, and to create new ways of doing things. We discover what that unique part is we are to play in this when we awaken this Atma, even all the way down to running that body on Earth. The Hue Expansion Ray within the Hue is a direct connection to this source, and it has always been there. Experiencing this and knowing this again is another matter. We can't stay here long, or you would never return, and your body would cease to exist on Earth. So now you find us whirling down through this radiant white golden vortex. There's a blue-violet sphere around us, Turelian's in the center, and in an instant, we're all the way back down, coming out the opening, hovering in space above Earth. And the vortex above us simply vanishes. We've gone there to bypass the vast areas between the physical universe and the void. Astral, causal, mental, etheric, we've bypassed all of them. There are traps laid in all of that. So we need to get above the void to start to make real change. And then you'll see this 50 people from the Galactic Alliance. Talk with each of you, and they will tell you that they are trained in the ability to remove secondary implants that are artificially created, terrorizing emotional programs that terrorize you to keep you from knowing who you are and what your true purpose is. Getting into where that came from and how it's done to you is another journey. Knowing this helps tremendously. And they will offer their assistance to help each one of you be free of subconscious negative programming. And they will help you when you're out of your body each night when you put the body to sleep. But you must request it. They are not tyrants. Every one of them is a master teacher in their own right, and yet they are members of the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds as well. There is another organization of world systems that comprise a little more than half the galaxy on the other side of this galaxy we live in, who are masters of genetic science. And you're going to see them appear briefly here, hovering outside these luminous spherical atmas that they are. A man and a woman, and they have long silver hair like that crystal statue in the parallel dimension on Earth. Violet eyes, longer fingers and torsos than we have on Earth. And we've already visited who they are in that green energy field through that crystal statue made of quartz, the device. And they will assist you as well if you request it. This is something each of you have to have the courage to do co-creatively. Trust yourself in eternity first. Trust who you are that cannot be harmed or destroyed. It can be made unconscious. But what we're doing here is to wake that all up. Then find yourself hovering as a spherical being in serenity of being above the body in the trance state called sleep. And send gently a stream of white golden light down into the pineal gland in the center of your brain to enlighten that form, to bring the memory of this into consciousness here. And then let it flow through you out into the world for the benefit of others, for your benefit and the benefit of all life. When you're ready, open your eyes.
Wow, wonderful experience. So today you have a chance to go meet with the sons. We all.
Back to what we call the ocean of light and sound, yes. Until people can do that, until they leave behind all negative nature, as we've done, and you get assistance from other beings to do that, until you can do it on your own. We establish ourselves again from whence we once came, many billions of years ago. Once that's done, it cannot be reversed. So everything else becomes more of a childlike wonder, enlightening experiences from this moment forward. This needs to be the experience of each individual. I can tell people what truth is or enlightenment, but until I demonstrate and help them have it for themselves, it's not doing anybody any good. So I want to leave you and the guests that have gone on.
Thank you so very much for you and
Blessings to all of you on earth. The future isn't what you think it is. It's much better than you can imagine, because we are not alone in creation. I'll say good night and we will end this session.
Oh, hold on, Scott. Next Friday, next show on next week, we don't have a show, but the show after that. Okay.
So I mentioned that before. So next Thursday, we will miss 1 week. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Perry, best to you always, as always.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.